Hello, Internet. I'm Matt.
And I'm Monster Punter.
And this is the Parallax Scrolling Podcast, where we give you our perspective on video games and the news that affects them. And just a heads up, we both are having some slight audio issues today, so if things sound weird, tough.
Well, I mean, come on. They don't have to gruel through it if they don't want to. But
I know, but they also know I'm joking, so yeah, but I'll try to fix this best I can in post, so not a big deal. So how's things so far?
They're going pretty well. I don't really have any complaints. It's been a nice Memorial Day weekend. Thank you to all the soldiers who are no longer with us.
Thank you to all the soldiers who are still with us. Thank you to, and this is something I've been hearing people say a lot lately this weekend, and I think it's very true. Thank you to all the friends and family of people who went over and served, because you guys lived a nightmare while these people gave up everything to protect us. So sincerely, thank you, all of you. Just yeah,
it takes everybody at the end of the day, I think.
It really
just
does.
In different ways.
Yeah,
some of us risk more than others.
Yeah, and you just don't realize it till you kind of look at it and go, "Oh, yeah, that's true. That's a true statement." So, video game stuffs. That's what we're here about. And I got some news. I stayed up till 2:30 this morning again.
Okay.
So for the past, this is something Monster and I have talked about. For the past 2 nights, I've been up till 2:30 in the morning trying to finish, because I kept thinking I was close to finishing Iodine Chronicle. And the reason why is that my Game Pass ends very soon, like today, I think. I beat it.
Oh, nice.
And I have some thoughts, and I took some time to write them down.
Okay.
Because I like sharing this stuff. So, here we go. Here's the good things. The RPG stuff is great. Like, the battles, the mechanics, the building the city. That stuff is actually really fun. And I really enjoy like all the different combinations of people. And then because like all the teams have different people have different hero combinations, a lot of them have unlikely team ups. And so to see them, it's like, oh, that's really cool. I didn't think about that. That's awesome. So yeah, the RPG stuff's great. The only thing is there's not a real need for like status healers, like buying poison antidotes or anything like that. The only real status you need to worry about is dead. That's the only status effect you have to worry about. Other than that, you don't really need that stuff. I've finished so many fights, and it really wasn't until the end of the game that I really started having to worry about status attacks from enemies.
I've noticed that in just gaming in general, that status attack effects aren't really so much of a thing anymore, and when they are, their difference in the fight is minimal. Right.
Yeah, no, because I'm talking to some old hands here. When you played an RPG and you got poisoned, it was a fight for life. Like, even if you won the fight, you had to... How far away were you from the nearest town? Or, because you were going to die otherwise, yeah.
Oh, the good old Marlboro show up and you're just like, I need to go.
Oh, yeah. Bad breath.
Yeah.
Well, time to reload my save.
Yep, pretty much. You just sit there and watch this thing use bad breath, and then your characters can't do anything, and you just watch them slowly whittle away at them.
For the uninitiated, Marlboros in Final Fantasy have an attack called Bad Breath, and they literally emit a bad breath odor across your party, and it inflicts every status effect in the game. It's brutal.
They've been toned down quite a bit.
Yes, they have. Especially at 16. They're not as threatening. They're cool, but they're not threatening.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways to fight. Like, I was talking about, like, all the different characters or their cool attacks. There's so many different ways to fight, but they're not all needed. Like, honestly, you don't really need magic. Like, the magic's cool, but those team attacks are disgusting. And that's a side thought for. I guess I'm starting to blend into my kind of negative stuff. Most of the powerful, like really powerful skill techniques require very minimal skill points. Like the main character Noah and his ally Sane, they have an attack that they get very early in the game, costs them 1 skill point apiece, and they attack everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty nasty. And then later on, there's another one. It's like it requires 3 characters to have up to 3 skill points, and it does nowhere near enough compared to that. So it's, they're cool, but I think some major tweaking needed to be done there. But speaking of negative stuff, most of the mini games are bothersome. I love the card game. The card game's awesome. It's so much fun, and I think it's even something you could like play with friends in real life. It's really kind of simple to learn and really fun. The Beyblade Pokemon type game was all right, but there's a quest line with the Beyblades. I'm just gonna call them Beyblades because that's really what it is. In order to get 2 of the members you need for a complete party, you have to go through this quest line. And the first guy, you got to go through 3 prompted story battles with spinning tops.
Okay.
And then you get this guy. The last guy, you have to complete the entire storyline, and it's ridiculous because there's like so many people you have to fight. And I mean, the storyline is cool, but like it could have been a separate game almost. That's kind of what I'm getting at with that one.
Okay. And
so,
anything else you didn't like?
Oh yeah, no, I still got more, but I have to hit these points. We don't have a lot of news stories today. We got time. So I finished the storyline. I get this guy, and then I get it's the final dungeon. I'm going through the final dungeon last night, and I walk into this room, and there's the first guy, the Professor Oak character of the Beybladers, and he's like, "You are the greatest." They call them Spinadiers because you're the greatest Spinadier in the world. I challenge you with my special Beyblade so that we can see who to help me unlock the secrets of the Beyblades. And you're like, okay. This dude is ridiculous. He's utterly broken. How am I the best Spinadier in the world if I can't beat you? It was frustrating. I didn't fight. I gave up on him. It was like this has nothing to do with the story. I'm tapping out. Similarly, the cooking battles. Cooking battles, cool concept, but a massive headache. Just to get a character who I never used. And it's like Iron Chef. Like here's you pick your foods and you got to make it, and then there's the line of judges and you have to showcase your food, and then they judge you. Mm-hmm. All the judges are people you've recruited so far. All right? And everyone has their own different tastes and likes and hates.
So how is it not rigged?
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, well, if you're all part of my party, why are you rooting for the other guy? Like, it doesn't make sense. But so you go into these battles, you cook you pick what food you're going to make, you're going to cook the food, and you give it to them. Something that they don't tell you is that everybody's mood can differ every time they come to judge, and that affects their score. And you have no control over that. Like that's wonderful. And so then you get a score from 0 to 5 per person, and then you tally up the points, and that's how you determine who wins. If you win, after the dialogue that you have, because there's always, like, again, this has its own storyline. It's like the Beyblade. It's got its own storyline, which is kind of dumb. So after you finish the story elements of talking to the person you just beat and they leave or die, yes, it's weird. You have to wait 10 minutes.
They die.
No, seriously, people die
from a cooking battle.
Well, because the evil cooking organization is the Dark Dragon Syndicate, and they're assassins.
Okay,
and so it gets very mob style. It's weird.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so once you beat them, you have to wait 10 actual minutes to get to the next fight. And you have to go through 16 fights to get the character. The storyline has 17 fights, I guess. I didn't do the last one because I was like, this is stupid and I'm not wasting my time. But yeah, so there's 16 fights to get this character. It is 160 minutes of waiting. And no, that's just not cool. And I guess the idea is you're supposed to, as soon as you get this guy, you start following, because it's all based off a chef you recruit. As soon as you recruit him, then the storyline kicks off. So you're supposed to start this as soon as you get him. But there's no real, like, talk of that. You know?
Yeah, it's a little more old school in nature. You have to figure it out yourself.
Yeah, but with a game this complex, that's kind of frustrating. You know, especially
that's the way old school games were. I mean, the guy
right.
who made it harkens from the 90s where, you know, that was more common, or a lot more common.
Sure.
There was no prompts whatsoever. There was no indicators that this was even something you could do. You just had to discover it on your own, like a cheat code.
True, but that's problematic in this day and age, especially when I'm an adult and I don't have that kind of time to fart around and try and crack the code. You know, I'm trying to play the game and enjoy the story, and I'm trying to get all these characters. And I'll get to that bit in a second. But yeah, so that whole mini game just sucks, and I seriously hope that they don't bring it back for the next one. Some things are not explained well as far as how the game works. Example, how the mini games operate. Duels. So, in the Suikoden series, the creator was known for giving you one-on-one fights with characters. And you would pick, do you attack? Do you block? You know, whatever. These has the exact same formula here, and you have to pay attention to what your opponent says to know what's the proper response. Now, what's different in this time around is whether you pick the right response or not, you still lose health. Yeah. So it's a matter of picking the right responses and beating the guy or beating your opponent in time. That's one issue. The other issue is in the original games, it was pretty easy to tell by what they were saying what they were going to do. Like, oh, this guy's going to attack me. Oh, this guy's going to block me. Oh, this guy's going to try to counter me. Not so much. In fact, it's really hard most of the time. I'm surprised that the last duel I got to do, I'm surprised I got as far into it as I did before running into problems. But I ended up dying quickly because I kept making right decisions, but I was still losing health. Because somewhere I goofed up along the way. And I didn't know. And there's no way of knowing because the way they showcase the fight. It's kind of hard to tell. So that would have been, you know, nicer if that was a little more laid out. Like, not completely laid out, but like, knowing this line always means I'm going to do this. And I actually had that happen. I had one of the duels, it's kind of really important in the storyline. The guy says, the opponent says like 3 different things, and so you know what the response is for each of them. But as soon as you get to the next phase of the duel, he says those things again, but they all mean something else. Your response is different.
Well, that makes it tough.
that's pointless. That doesn't make sense. It could have given him different lines or something. But anyways, so yeah, some things just aren't really explained well. It'd be helpful if they were, but it's kind of a minor beef. These last two revolve around beating the game.
Okay.
So when you finally get to the end, there is character epilogues. Like every person that you've recruited.
That's a lot of character epilogues.
It's 120. Well, each of them gets like a little paragraph. Like, this is what happened after the fact. The problem is they go across the screen too fast. Can't read them. I literally took time before I went to bed last night or this morning to look up. Someone was kind enough to actually find out what the paragraphs were and put them on the internet. And I had to read them all that way because it was just too fast. Too fast for me to read. So it was kind of annoying.
There's no way to pause it while it's going by?
No. It's a cutscene. Yeah. And then probably the big thing that was annoying is you can't skip the end credits.
Oh, some games do that, yeah.
Yeah, but you can't even speed them up. The only time I got a speed up option was when they started thanking the backers because there were so many backers for the game. Which, thank you for that. But the fact that it's like I don't care. Like most games now, you can see that in the options there's a credits button, so you can watch the credits on your own. And I guess that if I were to have a community question, it would be, how do you guys feel about credits in games? Because at this point, we have the technology. I should not be having to force to sit through the credits. I get you want me to recognize you for all your hard work, and I'm willing to do so. But not at 2:30 in the morning when I'm trying to go to bed. Let me skip. So it's just... Other than that, though, like, the beefs are there, but they really do not detract from how amazing this game is. Like, the good things...
You still liked it a lot.
Oh, yeah, the good things I talked about heavily outweigh the bad things.
Okay.
So this game gets a 9 out of 10.
Good. All right.
It's not a... I can't compare it to Sea of Stars. I'll be honest, because they really are two different types of RPGs. And so that'd be like trying to compare Phantasy Star to... like wizardry, you know. It's like they're different.
Jeez, you're pulling some old school ones there with the wizardry pull.
Well, I know, but wizardry is still making games. They're just not as popular. But yeah, so it's just like, but they are two totally different style games, apples and oranges. So it's hard for me to compare them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but game's awesome. Game's cool. And if you ever loved the Suikoden series, and you really want to relive that, definitely pick this one up. Pick up Eiyuden Chronicle, and it's actually kind of funny. I was thinking about it. The main character, the way he fights, is very similar, not completely, but very similar to the way the main character in Suikoden 2 fights. His friend fights similar to the main character, or the main character of Suikoden 2's friend, the way he fights. And the third hero that you get, she fights similarly to the way the first hero of Suikoden 1 fights.
Okay.
And like there's so many nods to, and that's another thing, since the team is mostly ex-Konami employees, there's a lot of nods to Konami products and projects, and it's chef's kiss. It's great. They did a really good job.
Okay.
So my jumbled rant is over.
Okay.
What did you play?
I've just been playing Final Fantasy VII, and I've been playing Mech Warrior Online a little bit.
All right.
I'll just say that rotary autocannon 5s are really, really nice, especially on the mech I'm using them on. And as far as Final Fantasy VII is concerned, the story's going, well enough. Definitely different from the original.
I would hope so.
There's too many mini games, in my opinion. I don't want to go into them the way you did, but suffice it to say, there's just I just wish it was a little bit more of a streamlined experience, more closer to Final Fantasy Remake. So I like the game; it's going well. I don't like it as much as Remake though. So
Okay. I mean, I can understand that. But I think like mini games used to be cool. For the most part, like giving me like 1 or 2 mini games, that sounds fun. But when you throw like 10 into a
like
game,
how many are in this game? There's a ton.
really?
Yeah,
Gosh.
I mean, it's not like and it's not in the way that what the name of the game, Shenmue.
Oh gosh,
or
yeah,
was
Shenmue's-
it Yakuza? One of those had like the arcade, and you could just walk up to an arcade and start playing. I mean, it's different than that. It's
Yeah, I mean, Like a Dragon has that too. But I think with those types of games, you're kind of expecting it. Like I'm playing a Sega game, and I walk into Japan, and I walk into an arcade, and there's Sega games to play. That makes sense.
yeah. I mean, but it's like you could just play them for fun, really, not.
Yeah, no. You're right. You can just play them for fun. It's not intuitive to the story, and doesn't give you anything for doing the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand.
That's basically what I've been playing, and I've been watching a lot of anime, which I know this isn't that kind of show, but I've just been watching, more of that lately.
Who knows? Maybe one day in the future, when there's more time, and things aren't as chaotic. He says hopefully, but knowing it's never going to be that way, we could do a podcast about anime or even our other interests.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have other interests, folks. We're diverse.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so. I don't know what game I'm going to start next. To be honest, I don't even know if I want to like re-up my Game Pass right now. There's a ton of games on Game Pass, but I also have other games not on Game Pass. So it's like, where do I start? Where do I go next? I don't know. I got.
You can just let the games accumulate on Game Pass, come back later.
As long as they don't remove them, like they did
I mean,
with.
talk about the new ones. Unless there's one that's been on there that you want to play that's been there for a while, I really wouldn't worry about it.
They're actually getting rid of Chicory by the end of this month. Actually, very soon. I'm kind of sad. I like Chicory, but I also beat Chicory, so I have no reason to really go back to it.
Okay.
But yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I'll let it accumulate, I guess. It's cheaper that way for me right now. So I think like I talked about before in my solo episode, I think I will go to Monarch then. Because I'm really,
Okay.
I mean, I got it for a reason, right? I was really interested into it. So we'll see.
Okay.
Cool. All right, community time. Community time. Okay, we gotta get like some like songs or something. to, like- I don't know about that, but we need to get something to kind of like help us segue into the separate segments of the show. I think I don't know. Anyhow, some of you actually gave us our two hardcore question answerers have responded.
And we love them.
We do. We thank you guys so much. But don't be intimidated by them, even though they're hardcore veterans at answering our questions. Feel free to answer our questions in the comments below the video, and even if you got questions about like anything that we talk about today, or if there's a news story we don't pick up on, and you're like, you guys really need to talk about this, let us know. We'll talk about it. So, all right. First off, from Tom. Okay, I gotta get the right voice for this. Hang on. Okay. I am Jay. I would love to play God Hand in Castlevania Curse of Darkness.
Seriously, you're gonna go that route?
He starts with OMG. Don't give me that.
Oh my
All right. So here we go. Here we go. Hold on to this.
Don't do him like that.
Oh, come on. He starts with OMG. What do you expect from me? Fine. OMG. I would love to play God Hand and Castlevania Curse of Darkness, as I am a huge Castlevania fan. Sadly, neither game is accessible on modern consoles. Maybe one day. Awesome picks, Matt. Well, thank you, Tom. And must I say, you are totally tubular. Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh.
I'm teasing. I'm having fun. Let me have my moment. All right. That one, dude. I'm going to read these in reverse order because this one kind of kicks in with Tom's. When it comes to third-person action games, some of my favorites are Devil May Cry 3 and 5, Bayonetta, and he said this one, and it hit me like a brick. Metal Gear Solid Revengeance.
I'm not a Metal Gear Solid fan, so I've never even thought about playing that game.
You should, and I'll tell you why. Metal Gear Solid Revengeance is nothing like Metal Gear Solid. You play as Raiden, the cybernetic ninja, and you run around
You mean
hacking.
the guy everybody hated in 2?
Yes, but he became awesome when he became Cyber Ninja. But you go through and you play as him. It's an action game. You're fighting robots and Metal Gears, and the soundtrack is so good. The game's amazing. Like it's a sleeper hit. Like it should have done better than it did, and Konami should have picked up on this is the direction Metal Gear Solid should have gone from at that point. Metal Gear Solid Revengeance, definitely worth checking out. So that one, dude, I totally agree with you. That was a great pick, man. Okay, now on to his comment responding to your question, which, for those who weren't listening, is
Steam Early Access a good thing?
There we go. Or just early access in general, but yeah.
Yeah.
So this is his response. It's a paragraph. So he's the one who hit us with a paragraph this week. But here we go. When it comes to early access, it's kind of a mixed bag. Funny enough, I have been playing a lot of Hades 2 early access that released earlier last week, and I would say it's a good example of early access. I feel some benefits of early access is that it gives developers some extra funds while going through the development process. Also, another benefit is it allows for the developer to see and get data from players playing the game while it's in development, so they can fine-tune gameplay mechanic for a 1.0 launch. But that being said, when purchasing an early access game, it's not a full project, and there is no guarantee it will ever be finished, and that's the risk of early access. But some of the best examples of early access games that went on to be successful hits are Hades, Vampire Survivors, and Baldur's Gate 3. I agree with him. I think these are very good points. I think early access, I think it depends on who gets to use early access. I think that's what it comes down to. If you're a AAA studio, you should not be able to have early access. You have the funds. Get your game fixed and get it out. But if you're like an indie studio, like a one-man team, or a two-man team, or a three-man team, or whatever, by all means, early access is great for you. And that's where I see it. Like it's highly situational. Who's allowed to use it and who's not.
I will give the hot take on this situation. As far as early access to any game whatsoever, regardless of your situation, your game is released. I don't really see... I see this as a very black and white issue. If you take a game, it's out there. If you can pay money for it, it's released. I don't see it how it could be anything other than that. There's plenty of games that used to wear the beta tag, and I view early access and beta as more of a, hey, don't criticize us too hard. The game isn't actually released yet. No, it's released. And there's tons of games that in now this day and age, and let me be perfectly clear, I'm not supporting this, but they release and they get patched later. Just because something's in early release or early access, it's the same situation. It's just getting patched, and who knows when they finally release the game or decide to release it, there won't be future patches then. Should I consider the game early access, even though it's not an early access anymore because it's still getting patches? I just don't see it any other way. If your game is released, it's released. If you're accepting money for your game, the game is released. Just
I have to disagree with you there, because I think here's the thing: if somebody releases their game early access at full price, then absolutely.
Hades 2. Hades 2.
Well, it may not be that may not be the final price. I don't know, but then yeah, you have released your game. But I think it's in examples like Vampire Survivors, where it's like, hey, I'm going to charge less for early access because you're not getting the full experience, but you're going to get all the content for free as an upgrade because you're helping me fund the project so that I can complete my work. Then I think that's different.
Then why aren't they doing something like what Euden Chronicles did? Why aren't they on a platform where you can have backers and stuff? They could do that instead and then release the game.
Then here's a harsh comparison. Why isn't a 4-year-old with a crayon putting out stuff like Michelangelo?
What?
Why isn't a 4-year-old with a crayon putting out artwork like Michelangelo?
I'm not really sure where you're trying to go with this.
That's exactly the point. Is you have people who are not as good at making games. They're learning. Some of them are putting out their games on early access because it's their first time, and they're trying to understand the system, and so they're trying to put it out. And then you got your AAAs who are putting it out as an excuse. There's a difference between those two people, and that's why it's not a black and white issue. That's my point. Is you to sit there and say that it's a bad thing just flat out, or that it's the game's released already. That's not fair to the people who have no idea what they're doing.
I'd have to think about that for a little bit.
No, that's where I'm coming from with it. It's the same thing like when you go to like your fast food restaurant and you see the person wearing the trainee tag. You don't rip into them. Unless you're that kind of person. You don't rip into them because they're learning how to do the job.
I see where you're coming from. I just don't know if I agree with it right now. I need to think about it for a little bit.
That's fine. I felt like that had to be put out there. And you know what? We can kind of keep this topic open. If anybody else has some insight or input even on this issue and how you feel about it, let us know in the comments. But on top of that, do you have another question?
Well, let me put it out. Let me just say one more thing, okay?
Sure.
I'm not opposed to changing my opinion on things because, hey, in this day and age where people seem to think that if you have an opinion, you have to stay with it no matter what. As new information becomes available, I reserve the right to change my opinion. At this particular point in time, though, my opinion is still what I've stated.
And for those of you who don't believe that and want some stakes and torches, let me know.
I didn't know you were plotting to kill me.
Well, no, I was gonna actually redirect them to the ocean or something. I was gonna send them away.
Oh,
see, I had a plan. I had a backup plan for how I was gonna handle that. I got you.
Jeez. All right.
But yeah. So yeah, well, let's keep that topic open-ended, or open for more conversation. But do you have another question? I know you said you had another question before.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it has to do with something that's tied to another story that we may go over today. What's everybody's opinion about Nintendo never lowering the prices of their games? For instance, Breath of the Wild, if you want to buy it brand new, still $60. A game from 2017.
Is it 60 or did that come out at 70? I can't remember.
No, the original came out at 60. The only game that went to 70
was Tears
of the Kingdom, yeah.
Okay. All right, yeah, no, that's a great question. So I know we already have our opinions about it, but I want to hear from everybody else before we give our opinion. So for next episode, hopefully it comes out next week and not next 2 weeks, but life is weird. Let us know in the comments down below how you guys feel. Is Nintendo okay? Are they allowed to keep that constant price tag?
Well, I think they're allowed. I'll say that much. I mean, it's just whether it's a good or bad thing. I mean,
do you like the fact that they do it? There you go. How's that? Let us know in the comments. We appreciate you guys. Alrighty. Times for news. Again, needed like a segment switcher or something. Gotta figure that out. But
doodly-doo.
I really don't want to use that. I really don't. But you know what? Why don't I got two stories. You got what? 2 stories?
Something maybe.
Yeah. I think, and not to sound like I'm attacking, but I think your news stories are a little more cynical or perceived cynical than mine. So why don't you start?
I guess I just want to talk about the state of AAA gaming.
Yeah.
In general, there's been stuff out there about especially Final Fantasy not selling as well. We talked about it last week. Hellblade, the fact that it's only like 5 or 6 hours and it's taken 5 or 6 years to come out.
Yeah.
And just the massive budgets that go into these AAA games. I just want to say that, in my opinion, I don't think AAA gaming is in trouble, really. The risks are higher, sure. I mean, you're putting a lot more capital into a game that may or may not pay off. So, they do tend to be a little bit more safe in what they do. You see a lot more innovation in the indie space where budgets are much smaller. But those concepts do make their how do I say, track upward into AAA games, or drip upwards, if you want to, however you want to put it. So, but in general, I don't think AAA gaming is in as bad a place as people are like really putting out there. There's some people who are saying, one particular Game Explained channel stated that Nintendo was right. And one of the things he showed was a graph showing how much sales compared to how much profit that Sony and Nintendo has made, and showing that even at much less sales, Nintendo is making way more profit on those sales. And when I look at that graph, and I even take out the fact that Sony has some games on PC now. The comparison is just in raw numbers. It's not a relative comparison. So I take issue with it in the fact that I think a much better metric for gauging how well Sony's doing with their AAA games versus Nintendo, and they do have some AAA in their lineup, but they have a lot more what would be considered maybe more AA, lower budget, things like that, in part because it doesn't cost as much to put stuff on the Switch. And he does bring that up, and he's perfectly right about that. My point is simply this. If it was a revenue per console sold, or like a net income per console sold, or attach rate per console sold, or something like that, where you could see just how many games are being attached to consoles and things like that, or the sales per console. I think that's a much more telling stat, or how much revenue, not really sales. Sales is not the same. I mean, net income or net profit per system. Mm-hmm. It could be that because the Nintendo Switch has something around 130 million consoles out there, and the PlayStation only has 50 million sold. Those are rough numbers. The fact that Sony made only half as much gross profit compared to Nintendo per console, their gross profit may in fact be higher. So I don't think AAA gaming is in a bad place. I think that these companies do innovate. I think that they're doing a good job. I think that they're not necessarily the same market in some respects. I mean, sure, they're in the same market in that they're competing for eyeballs, because in that case, everybody doing anything anywhere is competing for time, your time and space.
Yeah.
But in this market specifically, I mean, a console gamer versus like something like a Switch, it could be a little bit different, because somebody may only have a Switch because they could play something on the go, or that's the only way they can play their game, or somebody wants a little bit higher fidelity in their game, so they play something on the PlayStation or Xbox versus the Switch. It could be any number of things.
Well, I think you actually said the magic word while you were talking. The problem is not, at least for me, the problem is not AAA developers. It's not the AAA developers. It's the AAA marketing teams. They're the ones that I feel are the major problem, because they're the ones that are like, oh, we're going to hype this game up and it's going to make us $1 bajillion. And then the game comes out, it doesn't sell to their expectations. And they're like, okay, well, we need to close this studio. We need to sell this studio. We need to get rid of this. We are not happy with our numbers, blah, blah, blah. It's such a weird thing, because I think this kind of goes to the conversation of video game as art, because video games are art. In some way, they are an art form. And so you're taking this artist's work, and it's very good, and it's very pretty, or it runs smoothly, or whatever. And then you're handing it off to a person who does not have the same qualities, the same talents as this person. But their job is to sell it to the world. And I think that, I apologize if you hear my dog, I think that's the problem. I think that the bottom line, the dollar, does not help the video game industry. That ability to make that money. I understand that's what's needed, and I understand that that's how business works. But as a statement we've said many, many times before, these video game companies don't care about you as a consumer. They don't care about you. They want your money. And they'll give the developers the opportunity to make something amazing. But if it doesn't give them that thing that they want the most, which is money, then that's where the problem lies. It's in those people. That's where my beef is. So and I think that makes it worse when you have people like and I don't want to bash on other creators, whether they're right, wrong, or stupid. But when they come out and they're pro this console, or they heavily talk up this console and they downplay this console a lot, you're being manipulated by the marketing team at that point. And I feel like that's the problem. That's the issue. That's where I'm at.
I'm not saying, at the end of the day, I just disagree with the whole concept that, that Nintendo's doing everything right. I think they're servicing two different markets. And
absolutely.
And, I just question the concept, not anybody who's actually saying that. Here's a secret, everybody. If you want to win somebody over, if you want to persuade them, do never, ever, ever attack their character or them directly. Ad hominem attacks. You will never get anybody to agree with you or persuade anybody if you do that. If you
Right.
start out a conversation saying, you're stupid for thinking that.
You've immediately lost your audience when you say that.
It doesn't make any sense. Don't do it. So I'm never going to attack anybody who.
Right, and I'm not saying we are, but what I was just coming forward with is those people are, whether they realize it or not, being manipulated by the marketing teams of these developers, because they're like, our numbers are great. Numbers mean nothing.
So people say that money is the root of all evil, and maybe it still is. But you know what I think is really the most evil thing in this world? Marketing. We can't get away from it. We have to. It's always around us. I want it to go. I don't want to deal with it anymore.
Yeah, because why do people need to market anything? Why do people need to sit there and tell you, hey, if you really like our podcast, you should totally click the like button and the subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you know when we're making another episode? That'd be great. Thanks.
At the end of the day,
see how I got that in there? That was just slide that in there. But no, seriously, marketing is really messed up, and it's kind of it goes back to what you're saying. Money's the root of all evil. It's not that. It's the love of money that is the root of all evil, and the marketing teams love that money. So think about that the next time somebody has a conversation about some game studio or not. Just keep that in mind.
I guess I'll summarize everything I said as simply this.
Yeah.
There's a risk reward to all these games. A AAA game is just more extreme in its risk reward.
Yeah.
And that's borne out by some of these titles. I mean, look at Helldivers 2. That's more of like a AA-ish kind of game, but it has some AAA trappings to it, and it's highly successful. I mean, look
AAA
at
backing.
Call of Duty. Call of Duty every year comes out, and it's a big budget, but it makes a ton of money. So,
you said duty.
Really?
I had to have a moment.
Really? I assure you, people, he is older than he seems right now. Jeez.
Yeah, but you're laughing at it, so you're just as old as I am.
I can't. No, I'm laughing. I don't know if it's funny, so much as funny disappointment.
Duty.
At any rate, speaking of AAA games, there's some things that Neil Druckmann said or supposedly said this week concerning his game and Naughty Dog in general. And the thing that's kind of highlighted here, he's talking about The Last of Us, and he says it could redefine mainstream perceptions of gaming. And the knock on this take, among other things, has been they've put out a lot of the same games or remakes of their games lately.
Yeah.
They haven't really put out anything new. So,
I mean, talk about hype, right? It's going to redefine everything. Really?
Yeah, but it turns out that, he didn't exactly say that, and it was Sony misquoted him. And when you look at what he said here, he's just talking about how much he likes games, and how much, if you're into games, how much potential they have, among other things.
Yeah, I mean, like, hey, did you have a chance to read the full thing? Because I did. And
I've read through it, but I'm trying to remember it here.
So the big thing he says is he's talking about how he's excited about games. He's excited about the next project that he's not allowed to talk about because his bosses will get really mad at him. But he was talking about how there's a new appreciation for gaming coming up because games aren't just for kids anymore. And then he talks about the TV shows, like The Last of Us TV show. He talks about Fallout, the Fallout show. And he's like, I love that this is happening because people will watch these narratives and go, this is great. what? They're based off a video game? Let me go check out the video game. And then that opens their mind to the world of video gaming. And he thinks that's awesome. And that's what he said.
Yeah, and it's no coincidence, it's talking about Fallout, that all of a sudden the Fallout video game's popular right now.
Yeah, I've been seeing so many videos about Fallout 4, and I'm like, that game's how old now?
Yeah. Yeah, well, they also they overhauled the graphics in it too to kind of modernize it a bit.
Yeah.
Even though it's like a 8-9-year-old game, how much modernization do you really need? But anyway,
we put the resolution knob up one.
It is now 721p. I'm just kidding, but it's nice to see them do that. And
oh yeah, no,
I think
absolutely.
it's proper to do when you're going to release a series connected to your game. Why not spruce up your game? It's going to draw interest, because that's what's happened with all these series that have come out. I think about this, like before the Cyberpunk anime series, Cyberpunk, it was still coming off that rocky start, and I think like that series, because it actually is good. I watched it myself. It is good.
That show really helped Cyberpunk. It really.
Yeah, I've never played the game, but that series was good, and I think it kind of, for some people, they went back and played it again. So
I think I'd even argue that show gave CD Projekt Red time to fix the game, because people were like, "I'm going to watch this. Cool, quick, we got some time. Let's try and repatch it."
Yeah, well, CD Projekt Red does have a clear history of supporting their games for a while.
Absolutely. But I was just saying, like, I think it's like, here, distraction, fix.
I mean, if they keep going with Witcher 3, it might be the meme instead of Skyrim.
Yeah. Yeah.
Skyrim on Alexa.
Skyrim on your refrigerator.
Skyrim, the text adventure.
Skyrim on your keyboard, your actual keyboard. Yeah. Oh well. So I got some news. One's kind of a minor story, and I think we'll end with that one just because like it's cool and it's like up our alley, so it's something we're talking about. But this one I think is for a little bit more for everybody, so I want to talk about this one first. For those, I've yet to play them. I played the first one a little bit, but I do want to go back and actually play them. The new Doom games, Doom and Doom Eternal. Those have been some very well loved games.
Yes, they are.
And guess what? There's another one coming, and we weren't supposed to know about it just yet. So apparently the game got leaked by some insiders, which kind of tells me that this was actually the plan all along.
It's always from the inside, though, isn't it? It's always leakers from the inside. You never have anybody from the outside being like, "You're making that. I'm right, and I know it."
Yeah, I broke into the studio while you were sleeping, and I know the truth.
Actually, I take that back. It does happen. There's hacks.
Yeah.
Never mind. I retract everything.
I know. But no, so some insiders leaked that ahead of the next Xbox Direct, which is coming up June 9th, that there is another Doom game coming out. And it's got people excited and upset at the same time.
Why would that be?
Okay. Well, the reason why they're excited is because it's called Doom: The Dark Ages. And it takes place in medieval it's a medieval fantasy setting. So I could just I'm excited for that. Like the only thing that would make me more excited is if Doom guy gets medieval too. Like he's like in a suit of armor. You know? And instead of like getting like a shotgun, he gets a crossbow. And, that'd be cool. I'd be digging that extra.
Coming to a screen near you, historical Doom.
Dude,
Fight the Roman armies.
Civil War Doom would be awesome.
Fight the Roman armies as Germanic tribes. Then, if you want to, flip the script and take them over like they wanted to in the first place. Man.
We gotta be careful. There might be a crossover between Doom and Assassin's Creed at that point.
Ooh.
Yeah. See Doom guy and like doing the what's it called? The eagle dive off
Oh man.
Yeah. So anyways, so this is kind of cool, and hopefully we'll find out on the 9th when the release date is for this, and it'll be really exciting. So make sure you tune into the direct for that.
Actually, I'd be down for a Mirror's Edge take on Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. No, that'd be true. That'd be awesome. But here's the thing, okay? Here's what makes people upset. And by people, I mean rabid fanboys. It's going to be multi-platform.
Why would it not be multi-platform at this point? I mean, Microsoft does own it.
Yeah, that's Xbox's plan.
The direction they're going.
Yeah, exactly. So why are people not getting this? Like, they said already, they made an announcement. We're going to start putting our games on multiple platforms. Why is it all of a sudden you're shocked that Doom: The Dark Ages is not going to be an exclusive? Like, I'd be surprised if
Xbox.
I don't know.
Wanting their Xbox exclusives at this point.
But that's the thing. I don't think Xbox is going to do exclusives anymore.
No.
I think by making this
one for a while, if you consider the PC a competitor.
Right.
But the market for PC is different enough, and Microsoft showed that. That's why Sony's doing it now.
Right. But I just think, yeah.
And quite frankly, Nintendo would benefit from doing it too.
Yeah. But I think that just shows that, like, how people are unaware. It's like, yeah, they came out and said, we're going to go multi-platform. They're done with exclusives. And that's probably going to be to their benefit. That's going to keep them in the video game wars for future. But I don't know if we don't know what's going to happen with their console, so I don't know how they're going to do with the console wars. But speaking of console wars, one of them is officially over.
That's right. I forgot about this.
Yes. So, the oldest video game console war in history is now over.
No, it's not. I'll explain why in a second.
Okay. 45 years. Atari and Intellivision have been going head to head. I don't know how lately, but they've been going head to head.
Going head to head with people who are our age's minds, maybe.
Yeah. But so Atari has actually ended the console war with Intellivision by buying them. So
now they just need to get ColecoVision.
Yes. But yeah, so Atari and Intellivision are now a single thing, and they've already announced what their first big project is going to be. T-shirts.
Of course.
They're going to sell Intellivision brand T-shirts on their website.
Of course. You spend... I wonder how much they bought Intellivision for, but...
The article did not say. By the way, the article I got was from Mashable.com.
Okay.
But yeah, it does not say.
So console war's not over for that period because there's still ColecoVision needs to be bought.
Okay, but here's the thing. The war between Atari and Intellivision is over.
Indeed.
And that's the oldest running one. And that's why people are talking about it.
Yep.
Sorry, my voice is starting to go. But yeah, so there's hope for all you rabid Nintendo Sega fans, Nintendo Xbox fans, Nintendo PlayStation fans, PlayStation Xbox fans. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Your console wars will end. It just may take 45 years. So buckle up.
I hope Sega's doing all the buying.
That'd be cool. Dude, I just want Sega to like just come out like around Christmas time and go, guess what, suckers? Dreamcast 2.
Oh man.
You just drop the mic and leave.
Oh man. I'd throw my money at my screen and break it.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a good system. Like, I'll say that. It does not have to be a stellar system. It does not have to have PS5 or Series X graphics. It just has to be a better a step up from the Dreamcast, and I will be on it.
Yeah, but even more so than that, I just want a real RPG, traditional RPG Phantasy Star. That's what I want.
Yeah, that and Skies of Arcadia too.
Yes, that too.
Yes, we want that too. So,
all right.
So this one's been a little bit longer, mainly because we're ranting, but also I think because we needed to do some catch up work on, since we unfortunately missed a week. Lot of outside factors, but I'll try to get this one out like quick enough that hopefully I'll get this one out sooner than we normally release. No promises, but I'll try. And that way, when we actually do record next time, we'll have plenty of more comments and answers from our lovely viewers / listeners. So please get on that. Get on that. We really want to hear from y'all. Like, but Tom, that one dude, keep sending in the comments. We love you. But you know what?
Please do.
Yeah, but you guys can't be the only ones. We need other people to step up. So I'm calling out the rest of you viewers. I see you. I know you're there. All right?
Okay.
So I'm calling you out. Give us some comments. Even if it's another Wallow. Doctor,
that's right.
I gotta look back and see what your name was, man. I'm so sorry, but I didn't mean to mispronounce it or make fun of your name. Your name is your identity, and that's cool. I couldn't remember at the time of the podcast. But dude, please give us more comments. We'd love to hear from you guys. So
indeed.
With that said, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for just being there and being our support system. We appreciate every single one of you. And until next time, have yourselves a fantastic week. Have some awesome game time. And we'll see you in the next one.
Take care.
Later.